0.
I'm gonna put my phone on please disturb. Please somebody disturb.
That'd be a good grape juice boys meme.
Happy Halloween. Welcome back to another lovely Halloween Power Hour edition here at the world-renowned studio. I am your host, Jimmy Solesky, here with my brother, Dom Solesky.
Dom Solesky.
This is a long-standing tradition. We've been doing this for quite some time.
Haven't you been doing this for 1 year?
No, I think we've done multiple Power Hours. But the Halloween one specifically, I feel like it's been at least 4 years running. I don't know. I could be making that up.
Halloween.
Yeah. Halloween's a good week for a Power Hour, and tonight is Mischief Night, which we will get into.
I was thinking about that. Does anyone even do that?
We're going to get into that in just a moment.
I will TP a fucking house tonight.
Let me first explain the rules for those of you who don't understand exactly what a Power Hour is. A Power Hour, the point of the game, one of my favorite games, is to finish. You're doing a shot of beer every minute for an hour. Now, a shot of beer is approximately 1.5 ounces. A can of beer, as you see here, this podcast is brought to you by Natural Light. A can of beer is 12 ounces, meaning that there are 8 shots in a can. So technically, what we're aiming to do here is finish 7.5 beers in an hour. We've tried in the past to do a shot every minute, and it makes it unlistenable. If it's possible to imagine something being more unlistenable than this already.
Or just not listened to.
Yeah, exactly. Makes it unlistened to. So what we are instead going to do is we're going to round up for safety to 8 beers, which is actually more than the prescribed amount of beers we should.
That's 4 more shots.
That is 4 more shots, like that.
It's +4.
It's 6 more shots.
Plus 4 minutes, like a soccer game. They add +4 minutes.
Yeah, we're adding stoppage time. We're adding stoppage time to this. So what we're going to do is just at our own pace, with some structure, we'll be finishing 8 beers in the course of 1 hour. And we have our 8 cans laid out. And some topics that we may or may not get to, but I think we pretty much laid it out as well as you can. I would imagine, I would hope. So with no further ado, let us officially crack. Let's get a beer pouring here. We're just gonna pour the whole thing in there, get it going. This is 1 beer. Oh my god, it's already overflowing. Just about.
I didn't know Hefty made red Solo cups.
Yeah, dude.
Hefty.
Is this a Hefty Solo cup?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're really up in the game. They're up in the ante.
They really are. And let's get it popping with our first sip. This is in 3, 2, 1, sip. And we're off. 100% foam on that one. Nice.
I quit.
I don't know how this is going to go this year, to be honest.
DraftKings has the line at me over under 4.5 pisses.
Okay.
Place your bets now.
I would take that bet. I would take that. Over under 4.5. I think you're good for 3.5. Because I think you're going to coast through the first, I'm going to say
3 beers.
3 beers easy. And then that's towards the end, that's when it gets fucking vicious. I'm going to put myself
if you
at
had
over
my
under.
first half line of over under pisses, it would be at over 0.5.
Yeah. Yeah, we're prop betting at this point.
Second half is over 3.5.
First topic, of course, the purpose of this here occasion is Halloween, and tonight, as we hinted upon earlier, is Mischief Night. And the first question of Power Hour is Mischief Night still a thing? Because I'll tell you what, and this pains me to say, but I'm coming to find that trick-or-treating is increasingly becoming not a thing. The amount of trunk-or-treats I've seen is disheartening. It's not right.
It is brutal. And I wonder how much of that is like, is it social media? Is it just kids like getting so used to doing things virtually that like the idea of an entire holiday based on going around your neighborhood? Or I don't know. But Mischief Night, I think, hasn't been a thing for a while, and I don't think it ever was a huge thing. But it's like, you'd see some TP'd houses, you'd see some motorcycles tipped over, some shit like that. But
it's a very niche time in your life. Like the age grouping of people that participate in Mischief Night, I would say, is like 13 to like 14 and a half.
Yeah.
Like that is the age where you're like, you know what? I think I will egg this motherfucker's house. Like little kids aren't doing it because they can't go out alone at night. They're not just being, but like a 14-year-old, like a freshman in high school.
Throughout high school, it'll go throughout high school.
Did you ever do it?
I've egged people's houses and we did ridiculous shit, but never on Mischief Night. What I do hope is still going on, though, this is more of a local reference, is the junior-senior egg fight, because it was always around Mischief Night.
Was it really? I never associated the two.
Always around. It was always on Mischief Night. I think how it probably started, this is completely just theoretical.
Yes.
But probably what happened was everyone was going around trying to egg people's houses on Mischief Night, and then they wound up just getting into an egg fight.
Yeah.
And then they just said, dude, we should do that, a junior-senior egg fight. And it was still a thing when I was in high school. I participated in both of them as a junior and as a senior. And they would always try to get them shut down because it was always on Mischief Night. So then we would have to plan, like, within the week, either before or after Mischief Night. And it would just be like a mass text or a Facebook group that was made like 2 hours before that said, like, meet on the fucking grounds, 8 o'clock, have some eggs.
And this is, of course, Towson High School, folks, for those of you not from the local sphere. That is a tradition. I heard that one of the years, and this might have been a recurring thing, but I think one of the years, like either some of the juniors or seniors froze their eggs, and it like fucked some people up. And then they really started cracking down. And that's just like, it goes two ways because in this kind of...
There's always going to be somebody that has to take it too far and make it malicious. It's like, it's already fun doing the fucking egg fight. Now you're throwing basically just rocks at people. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you can't be doing that, dude. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I feel like...
Some guys are bringing... I remember the year above me, like... Schmeishy Schmeitengale brought a fucking airsoft gun and was shooting at people and shit.
That's something you're always gonna have to deal with. I think I at the very least participated my senior year. I'm not sure if I participated my junior year, but junior year is kind of like that's a more bold participation trophy because like the seniors
you're gonna get fucked up.
Yeah, you're gonna get fucked up for some reason. That one
it's like
year
being
is
hazed
massive.
into a frat. It's like, all right, we're gonna have to take a beating this year, but next year we earned our right and it's gonna be fun as fuck.
I definitely nailed a couple kids with unfrozen eggs at Stoneleigh Elementary, and what I loved about it was
you guys did it at Stoneleigh?
No, we did it it was like all around. Like we would just like hawk through fucking Towson. And just like the whole fucking like yeah,
what? I didn't even know that's how you did that.
It wasn't specifically Towson High School. It was like the whole domain. And so and granted, Stoneleigh Elementary is fairly close.
So you used Towson as your battleground.
Yeah, the
That's
entire
awesome.
like
but I feel like that
radius.
would be a very low level of like combat.
Well, there were like I think it was kind of moved. And this is, of course, for me, almost 57 years ago when I was in high school. But I feel like because people were cracking down so hard at Towson High, expecting it to go off there, that it was kind of moved to Stoneleigh. Because if you think about it, like you're trying to run a Mischief Night, a junior-senior egg fight, and it's going to be on campus grounds, high school campus grounds. You're easily getting popped for that. All you got to do is have some cops at Towson High School. It's game over. So I think it was kind of
that's
like...
that's why we started doing it within the week, because you can't have cops stationed the whole fucking week of Halloween. You can't have two different squad cars. So what we would do, both times I did it, we would meet on campus of Towson High School. And I forgot who started on which side, but you know that bridge when you walk down the hill of the football field and then it leads to the pool? Mm-hmm. Juniors would start on the pool side, I think.
Got you.
And the seniors would start on the football field side.
Nice.
Or I forgot which one it was. I think it was seniors basically. I think seniors started on the playground side because you were basically trying to defend the fort and you basically just made the juniors have to all pass over that one bridge,
Yeah.
like pass a Thermopylae style.
The 300 Spartans.
This is one 6-foot wide bridge that they had to cross, and then you're just pelting them with eggs from the
eggs will blot out the sun. Then we shall fight in the shade.
We will fight in the yoke. But our eggs will blot out the sun. No, but and right over that bridge is a playground, so you're like up elevated. You're behind swing sets and shit. I was literally telling this story today to a coworker. I can only remember one specific egg fight. I know I did it both years, but I don't really remember which one was what. But I remember it was the most satisfying throw I've ever had in my life. What time are we at? Can I tilt that so I can see that?
This is 7 minutes. We should be finishing up our first beer, which we are on pace. We're actually on a much better pace than I've ever been.
The first one's always the hardest, too.
Yep.
So,
make sure they're empty because we'll be turning them all over for proof.
All right. So, what the fuck was I just saying?
Junior, senior egg fight.
Yeah. So, the most satisfying throw of anything I've ever had, baseball, football, anything, there was this kid, I think he was from I don't even know if he was from our school, but
wow.
I think he was. He's a junior, though, and I fucking hated him. He was so annoying. And he was just a queer. Not literally, but just a bitch.
Yeah, colloquially, a queer.
Right. And I forgot what two guys, but that creek that runs all along.
Herring Run.
It's a very rocky creek. It's not a deep creek. It's like ankle deep, but there's a bunch of rocks.
It's more like a stream.
Yeah, it's more like a stream. And they basically, because it's like right over the edge of the parking lot, and they basically tackled him into the creek and was splashing. And it was cold. Like it wasn't like this October where it's warm. Like it was like everyone's in hoodies. Like it was a cold night. Mm-hmm. And they're splashing him in the face and shit. They ripped off all of his clothes. So he's in his underwear now. He's in his underwear.
Yeah.
And all of his friends ran. Because there's like 20 of us and there was like 5 of them. Because we just like caught this group. I guess they came in too early, or like everyone else fucking ran it. They were trying to be tough and like stay and fight. Like, I'm not giving up. Mm-hmm. And then I think we ran out of eggs and just people just started running at him. And
yes.
So then I had like a dozen eggs in my hand. That was my last dozen eggs. And he's running from the creek and he's sprinting back towards his friend and he's running perpendicular to me. And he's running from left to right. And he's probably, I want to say 30 to 40 feet away from me. And I just had this one egg. And I mean, like, he was at like a sprinting pace. So I like led him perfectly, like through it exactly. He like ran into it.
Yes.
I just beamed this fucking egg and it just cracked him like right on his fucking like below his ear. Just like the perfect spot.
Headshot.
Hit him in the face. And I guess he just like fucking fell from it because it stunned him so bad. He just fell. And then he like got back up and kept running. If you were to look at a slow-mo, the fucking spread of the egg white was probably like 4 feet in diameter. It was fucking incredible. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, holy
that
shit!"
That is sick, dude. You gotta live for that. The thing is, it's one of those things in society. And now that I'm officially an adult, I'm 32 years old, for crying out loud. And now that I'm an adult, like, I understand why certain adults want to crack down on that shit. No pun intended. But there is a level where it's like, you know what? I feel like at least once or twice, if I was a homeowner, I wouldn't mind if kids like TP'd my house or egged it. Like it shows it like there's still something carrying on. You know what I mean? Like there are certain traditions where it's like, yeah, that was part of the fun. Like the cops didn't want you doing it. And so you'd get in when you're that age, it's like one of your friends has a car, maybe. You get in the car, you drive off to like fucking like by Taylor Avenue out past Calvert Hall, like in Parkville to get eggs because you don't want to get eggs in like
Towson.
Yeah.
See someone seeing you buy 40 dozen eggs.
It's like, what the hell are you doing? You know? So you go out, it's like an adventure and it's a whole thing. And at the end of the day,
well, that was the other thing. They were like telling store owners to not sell eggs to kids.
Yeah. It was a community-wide thing. And as long as nobody takes it to that level, like with the, freezing eggs or the airsoft guns, as long as nobody does that, it's a fucking good tradition. And in fact, it's better than all those kids instead redirecting their energy towards fucking up people's houses.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, I wouldn't be surprised if the adults kind of started as like, hey, instead of fucking up our houses, why don't you fuck each other up?
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. It's just one of those things. And it's like, you like to see, as I get older, I like to see certain things carrying on because it makes me feel connected with the new generation. And it's like, once those things leave, and then it's like, you know, kids aren't fucking, like, there's so many fucking experiences, like trick-or-treating and all that stuff that just, like, go by the wayside. Like, one of my main goals in life is to have a place where people trick-or-treat at. Like, I look forward to being an adult, living in a neighborhood where kids actually come and get candy, and I could fucking set something up, make it look cool, you know? And I don't know if it's just I've been paying more attention to it, but it's like I've noticed less people decorating their houses for Halloween. It's like certain things need to carry on. Halloween, as I've said multiple times, in my opinion, Halloween is my favorite holiday because it is the most unifying holiday. It has nothing to do. It's not a country, federal.
And everybody loves it.
Everybody loves Halloween. There's nothing really divisive.
No controversy around it. There's not like Thanksgiving where it's like the Indians are like, yeah.
You get the vague people that are like overly religious, and it's like, yeah, but that's such a fringe group of people that are against Halloween. It has nothing to do. There's no like, well, the Native Americans actually first started asking. It's like, it has nothing to do with that shit, and it has nothing to do with religion. It's just a fucking American holiday. And as far as I'm aware, I don't know if other countries do the whole trick-or-treating thing or even celebrate Halloween, because I think Halloween is big in the United States because it's heavily based on Dia de los Muertos, which is like a Mexican thing.
I thought it was based off of also there was like some other shit that happened where it's like they would dress up as demons and stuff to try to scare away the demons. Mm-hmm. You know, all that.
But that has to do with the Dia de los Muertos thing. Okay. I think. I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure Halloween like isn't a big thing in like Europe. They might have caught on.
Yeah, I know, because one of my like favorite artists, Nothing Nowhere, has like a clip where he performed in like France or something on Halloween, and he came to the show dressed as like a cowboy. And so there's a clip of him doing the entire show as a cowboy, and then he goes to the crowd and no one's in a costume. He's the only one in a costume on stage.
And yet another reason, not only is it the least divisive, most unifying holiday, but it's also, for all intents and purposes, a fairly uniquely American holiday. It's an American holiday that everyone in America agrees with, and it's one of the only holidays you can say that about. Halloween is awesome, and therefore anything having to do with Halloween, the traditions, I support. Because once you lose that, and I know I might be taking it to an nth degree here, but once you lose that, once you lose the things, and this is like the purpose of a holiday really, is because you look at things like Christmas and you talk about like, oh, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And I agree with that, because there's something about being in the Christmas season that like, you just think a little bit differently. Like it just, Thanksgiving is one thing, but Christmas is like, dude, everyone is making it home, hopefully, for Christmas. It's like that's the time of year where at least once a year you're expected to reconvene with the people that your family, your hometown friends, and things like that. And that's why holidays exist, because if you don't have those things, it's so easy just in your day-to-day to just carry on, blah, 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 blah. But luckily we have a couple times a year where it's like, hey, we're going to like reintegrate with like why we're here in the first place. You know what I mean? And it's like, and carrying this over into like one of the other things we were discussing before the show, when we were talking about like, you know, like you've been getting more heavily into comedy and kind of have pulled back a little bit on music. And I go,
you're really pulling teeth for this segue. This is great.
Hey, you know, it works out. It works out because it's the same kind of idea as far as I see it, which is like, I'm the same way as it comes with like the podcasts and music. It's always been this fluctuation where I go in like phases between like being more heavily involved in making music, being more heavily involved in working on the podcast. But at a certain point, you have to kind of step away from it a little bit, because it's easy when getting burned out is really about losing perspective. That's what it is. And I saw something, some YouTube video. Actually, it was a guy who had like, you know, like barely more subscribers than me. And I've noticed that YouTube is kind of propping up.
What do you have, like 50 subscribers?
Hey, mind you, the subscribers have doubled since last time we checked in here on the thing. We're around 470 now. I think we were at 270 last time we checked. But the point being is like this kid. So like he's talking about like procrastination and what makes you procrastinate, what makes you put stuff off, and it's a sense of purpose. When you have like when there's like a reason to do something, then and that reason is motivating you, then it's really easy to do it. You know what I mean? But the less of a reason you have to do something, the less of an impetus you have to actually force yourself to get up and do it. For instance, everybody talks about like, oh, you break up with, you get out of a relationship and then you start hitting the gym. The reason why that is because you actually have a reason to get in shape now. It's easy to get out of shape when you're in a relationship, you're comfortable, this is a known thing. But then once you're like out on the market again and you're like, okay, now I actually have to be like physically attractive.
Yeah, now I have to clean my room.
Yeah, like I have to be like something that someone would be interested in. And that's like a motivating force. And it's so much easier to get up and go to the gym because when you're at the gym, you have that impetus behind you. And the same thing happens with like any pursuit in life. In our cases, like music, and for you comedy, for me the podcast, which I guess is a realm of comedy, whatever. But it's like, that's why it's so much easier to do shit when you're younger, because you still believe you can do it. And so that's your purpose. It's like, I can be a famous musician. I can be a famous podcaster, comedian. And then as you get older and it's not working, then it becomes harder and harder and harder to be like, well, why the fuck would I even bother going to this open mic right now?
Dark Mark was performing last night. He had this thing where he said, which by the way, he's featuring on the show on Saturday, but he's like, you know why I know I'm crazy? I'm 47 years old, man. 47. And I still believe in myself.
It really is that way, though. It like the hardest battle is because, as we discussed before, it's like the majority of the battle in life is showing up. And that sounds easy when you're willing to show up. Like, but what happens is that showing up becomes harder and harder because you have less of a reason to do so. It becomes harder and harder to motivate yourself to keep going out to the open mics, to keep making music, to keep doing those things. And that's what kind of separates people from success or I don't want to say failure, but lack of success, you know? So I vaguely see how I tied that in from Mischief Night, but I do because even in general life, you have these holidays that bring you back to the purpose. This is a thing that I've been not battling, but thinking about. The purpose
You've
of
been
life.
battling, boy.
I've been battling.
I see the scars.
Yeah. I'm battling. The purpose of life. I saw a tweet one time that like really kind of stuck with me, or maybe it was like a meme on Instagram. It doesn't matter. And it said, the purpose of life is really just kind of hanging out with your friends and doing shit you want to do. And it's so easy to lose perspective where you start seeing like, oh, the purpose of life is for me to get up and work my job. But it's like, okay, but that's not the purpose of, like, why do you work your job? So you can make money. And why do you make money? So that you can do shit you want to do. You can get the food you want to get. You can live in the house you want to live in. You can date the people you want to date. You can drive the car you want to drive. You can take the vacations you want to take. You can, like, it all comes back to everything you do in life. All the work you put in is all about just eventually being allowed to spend it on shit you want to do, you know? And it's easy for people to get caught up in the thing where they're like, oh, the purpose of life is to fucking grind. But it's like, but why are you grinding? Why are you fucking grinding?
Yeah.
So that you can enjoy the things you want to enjoy.
You gotta grind for the love of the grind, though.
Exactly. So in terms of holidays, it's like, oh, I know it's easy to fucking just like work all day and do the same shit and hang out with the same people all the time and live wherever I'm living. But like once a year, twice a year, it brings you back home. You're like, oh yeah, this is my family. These are my fucking actual like long time real ass friends. Like these are the people, like when I went on that trip in Miami, it kind of hit me. The 8,000 milligrams of shrooms didn't hurt for this realization.
Jeez.
I don't know how much. It was like, I don't even think I was high. But
that would be 8 grams of shrooms. That is retarded.
Yeah, that's true. Good math there. Much better than your previous math on the fucking whatever. But you're out there with these people that I've known. I was out there with these people that I've known since high school, early high school, in some cases like almost middle school. And you're like, okay, of all the people that I like associate with on a day-to-day basis or see, this is the group of people that like to this day are willing to like do something to this level, like go out of their way, plan a fucking trip, do shit like that. And there's so few people in your life that you actually have that with. You know, it's like you have your friends that are coworkers, and then the second you stop working with them, they're not your friends anymore.
That was one of the biggest realizations ever. I remember you telling me that when I was working at Ruth's Chris and I was really close with all them. And it was the same at every restaurant, but I really felt close with the people at Ruth's Chris.
You should be gunning back these beers, by the way.
This is my third one.
Uh-huh.
Are you on your third one?
Mm-hmm.
You're on your second one.
Mm-hmm.
You should be shotgunning these beers. I've been over here trying to burp and like pace myself. I'm really taking this seriously.
All right,
You've been fucking yapping up a storm.
All right.
Stark, and I'll take the reins for a second. You shotgun. Yeah, but back when I was working at Ruth's Chris and I had all those friends and
Power out, baby.
you were like I'm already kind of buzzed. You were saying like, like these are your friends now, like, and there are going to be a couple that stay friends with you, but at the end of the day, and obviously you'll stay in touch here and there, and like you'll DM every now and then, but fuck, you're gonna eventually get to a point where it's like you're not hanging out every week, you're not making plans, going out of your way to fucking do shit together. And really what happened was, pretty much everyone that I was constantly hanging out with from Ruth's Chris. I talk to Danny. I see him every now and then. I see him probably like once a year. But Chris is the only other dude that like I consistently keep in touch with. And then for the melting pot, it's really just Jarrett. That's it.
Yeah.
You really only keep like one or two friends from those jobs that you're at. And then, you have 10, 12 friends and you're at those jobs. And then really... it whittles down, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, never mind, it's just you.
Yeah.
Just you. You were my only real friend.
Yeah. And then the battle of being an adult is when you're younger, it's harder to not hang out with people because you don't have any other thing going on.
Yeah.
Like, it's like none of us are doing shit. All of our jobs are bullshit. Like, we all have a bunch of free time. So you just hang out with people by like osmosis. And then once everybody starts getting their schedule, and I think this is probably something we touched upon multiple times on the show in previous episodes, but it's like you talk about how your parents see like their closest friends like maybe once every couple of months, and then they start throwing like fucking cookouts and holidays. But it's like that's the only way you can actually like once your friends get married and start having kids, it's like, dude, you got to actually like the same way when you were 21 and you had to prioritize actually getting a fucking job and doing something with your fucking life. Now that you have a job and on paper are doing something with your life, hopefully, now it's reversed. Now you have to actually prioritize your social life. You actually have to make time to see what the fuck are you doing?
It's a trick, dude.
Oh my God, Dom, shaking. This is
getting rid of the carbonation. You're getting rid of the carbonation. Make it easy.
This is a crazy move. Let's see if it
settle.
Bold strategy.
God. Let's see if it pays off for
We're
him.
shaking the beers, folks. We're shaking the beers. I cannot imagine this is going to end well.
I forgot this is a thing. No, they'll settle. They'll settle by the time we get to the next
let's
one.
hope so. Let's hope so.
Just open up very gingerly.
No, dude, it's the fucking hardest thing.
Are you on
man.
your fourth?
I don't know.
I just got on my fourth. I'm really maintaining it with the clock. If I finish this fourth before the 30-minute mark, I'm on pace, motherfucker.
Perfect.
If anyone bet the over on the 0.5 pisses per half, you're going to lose.
Wow.
You're going to lose.
You're holding it out?
This under might hit. I don't even have the slightest urge. Once I get the urge, it's going to be bad.
What do you think the live odds are right now for the first half piss?
Live odds are probably over 0.5 at plus 300.
Plus 300.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying there's
the under total right now has probably shifted down to under 3.5.
Okay.
Instead of 4.5.
Live odds are shifting.
The live's probably at 3.5 at this point.
Great.
I can see it getting to a piss per beer after this fourth one.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we'll have to see.
Well, the point being, folks, is you got to make...
Let's switch topics.
Yeah, let's switch topics.
What's going on with the blackjack shit? You've been trying to... we've always been known to try our hand and do some quick get rich quick schemes, as Lucas like to accuse us of.
Well, the thing I love
got
about
into EV betting.
the prospect of blackjack is that it's more reliable probability-wise.
I can already see Dad listening to this and rolling his eyes right now.
Yeah, of course. Look,
blackjack player. If I live in a fucking garage, blackjack.
What's funny is that, like, if I zoom out and take myself out of me and then looking at what I'm doing, I'm like, okay, you're living in a garage.
This is the next step. This is the most logical next step.
Like, I kind of, here's the thing, because I watched like 3 or 4 of those Mark like soft white underbelly. You know what I'm talking about? Those where he interviews people, and he's talking. And no shade to the guy. I'm still on the fence over whether or not I think he's a good dude, because there's a part of me where like it feels like he presents as a good dude, and maybe he is. Like I said, I'm on the fence. This is not a hardline opinion one way or the other, but there's also a part of me where it's like, damn, like he goes out of his way to find like the most miserable fucking people and then puts their stories on. And
I know
it's
he
like,
does pay them and stuff.
Yeah.
And apparently he like continues to pay for them and shit even after.
Okay. In that case, sure. Like I said, I'm just, you know, it's a thought that crosses my mind. Like, is this guy actually benevolent, or is he just using people for their stories? Regardless, I mean, whatever. But I've watched like 3 or 4 with gambling addicts. And what really struck me was like, as much as I fucking gambled like the past 2 years, and not this year, because I really didn't sports gamble that much at all this year, but like 2022, 2023, I was probably placing more bets, not in terms of money volume, but in terms of like amount of bets. I think I was probably placing in the top 0.1 percentile of the country.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking like I was placing like 50 bets a day for a while.
Yeah.
And, but it was all for me, like, and the thing that what actually kind of stuck out to me about that situation was a lot of them were like, it wasn't about the money for me. It was about like, and they all had different things that it was about. But the one thing that was most interesting to me, and the first one I watched the other night, actually, just when we got back from the birthday cookout on Sunday, was Archie Karras, Greek immigrant, and he had this famous, like, the story is he turned $50 into $40 million on craps or something like that, craps or baccarat or whatever the fuck it is, all kinds of different games. And like he, like back in the 80s, he was like this known gambler. He was like big time. And first of all, I can't do a good Greek accent impression. Like of all the accents I can do.
The Greek accent is pretty easy to do, Jimmy. You need to talk like this, you bitch. Okay, you bitch. Listen to me, Jimmy. You get the blackjack hand, okay? It's a 21 for a blackjack.
Yeah, that's
the
what it
dealer
is.
hits on the 17. Bullshit, bitch.
That's what it is. You got your H's are hitches. The J's are Jimmy. You have to hit on the blackjack. That's like one of them. And then you like because, and it's like
because.
Dude, yeah, exactly. And I'm listening to this guy talk, and I swear to God, there was like a point where I was like, God damn it, it reminds me of listening to Papu. Like it was like,
Jimmy,
really,
listen, you get these guys. They go to the casino. You go to the casino and they bet all this money on like they bet it on the blackjack, right? And this asshole, he hits on a 20. What the fuck is it?
The thing is, and I think it might actually be harder to nail an impression that you're familiar with, because it's kind of like for me to actually nail, for instance, like the Maryland Baltimore accent, it actually took some thinking about, because it's your own accent. And so you have to be aware of the things that you say that aren't right according to most people. And so like we've kind of learned what the Baltimore accent is by listening to other people make fun of it and then going back and being like, "Oh yeah, that's a thing that
you just did it."
Exactly, but it didn't sound, but like if you're not listening for it, it sounds normal. Like if I was just talking to you regular, not on this subject, you're just like, "Oh yeah." Like you wouldn't think about it. So it's like it's harder to identify. That's what an accent is. Nobody is speaking in real
I remember
time.
when I was on Ryan Sickler's podcast, comedian from Baltimore. I was wearing a Orioles jersey. He was like, "Oh yeah," 'cause I told him I was from Baltimore before I was even on it. And then he was like, "By the way, do you have any like pictures of the attack that I can use for the podcast?" I was like, "Oh yeah," and he was like, "Oh yeah, I can hear that. I haven't heard that accent in a while." I was like, "Oh shit."
It's harder to like no British guy is listening to the way he talks. He's like, when I say little, it's like, no, that's what you just say.
Bottle of water.
Bottle of water. Like nobody is thinking that, so it actually becomes harder. And I think that's a big reason why it's been so difficult for me to like pin down what the Greek accent is, because it's like I'm just thinking of how Yayan Papoose speak and how they speak English, and that's just how they speak. And I've never once taken the time to like actually identify like, here's the way they pronounce certain letters, here's the way they say certain words. And then once you really start paying attention, and what stuck out to me anyway, big side tangent, but what stuck out to me was like the way this guy Archie Karras spoke from Greece. I was like, oh my God, that is the exact accent. And it felt like I was listening to Papu. And even not just the accent, but the way he told a story. And honestly,
What, terribly?
yes, actually, yes. And I mean that. I'm not even trying to be funny. Actually, yes. It's like there's something, and Trump does this same thing.
It's insane to me that Greeks who invented these amazing stories, like the Greek mythology and all this shit, very intricate storytelling, cannot tell a fucking story to say their fucking lies.
Here's the thing. What it really picked up with me was not that he couldn't tell a story, but when...
Try to go too into detail?
No, it was actually the opposite. The interviewer would be asking him a question,
and he would assume he already knew the context.
and he would be like, oh, it's like this. And he'd be like, oh, yeah, kind of. But, it's like... And he would branch off to another thing. Like with Trump, they call it the weave. And so with Trump, even if we'll get into this later, listening to like the
Goddamn right.
the road, of course, we will. Goddamn fucking right, we will.
I'm gonna piss.
Yeah. Folks, live betters.
You lost the first half.
We are now at one piss. Somebody tabulate it. As Dom takes a piss, the thing that you notice about weavers, Trump, and what I'm now gathering is just Greeks. Greeks are weavers. They are good at telling a story, but they're good at telling you the story that they want to tell. And so when you start, I guess, interjecting, not in a bad way, because I know that word kind of has a negative connotation, but just interjecting, like if you just say, oh, it's like this or that, they don't see the connection you're trying to make. All they see is the point that they're trying to make. And so Greeks will just, like, they tell you their story, and then any listener who's trying to, like, formulate their own, like, moral of the story or point of the story that isn't necessarily exactly what the person telling you is, they just they don't see the connections you're trying to make. And so that's the thing I noticed with this guy, Archie Karras, is like, he's just telling you his exact experience. He's telling you what happened, when it happened, how it happened. And then the interviewer's like, oh, so you feel like this or that? Wasn't it like that when that happened? And he's like, I don't know. It's like they're not really, like, they have a point, and if it's not your point, there's no point.
What's Archie short for? I mean, why did he get that name? His Greek name, you know what I bet it is? Argyrius.
Argyrius is possible. The Archangelos. Like, there's all kinds of fucking. Right now. There's all kinds of things it could be. But anyway, the reason I brought up Archie Karras at all is because it was actually more about, like, he said he was like, it was never about the money for me.
It's Anargios.
Okay.
Anargios Nicholas Karabornitios. So it was not Karas either. They're like, we're not fucking saying.
You know what?
That.
I support shortening that name.
Karabornitios.
Yeah, I support shortening that. Karras is cool. I like the shortened Greek names, by the way. I kind of do. The regular Greek names are like too long. It's like, this does not need to be 8 syllables, dude.
Oh, what about the guy I make music with, Alki? His real name is, I forgot his middle name. I know his brother's name is Yanis Panayotou Halkias, which is he posted some court paper.
Halkias, he has the same last name as Stavi?
Halkiotis, sorry.
Which is probably a derivative of that.
And then his name is Alkiviadis something other Greek fucking shit, and then Halkiotis. I was like, damn. Greek is shit, boy.
Greeks definitely have that shit going. Anyway, the point of this whole fucking tirade is
gambling.
You turned me on to stake.us, which is an online casino. And I gotta say, when I actually logged in and actually like tuned into the live casino and saw that it was like an actual live dealer on camera dealing from the thing, I was like, wow, this is just like sitting at a casino table. And then my immediate thought was, and this is something that I brought by Will Beckman and Mehedi, not to futurely incriminate anybody should we actually pursue this, but Will, big math guy, we had a fucking blast. Like, it was fun to talk to somebody who like actually like knew what, like, because that's like his career. Like, he literally develops algorithms for fucking like different companies. Not gonna say which, but just like talking to him, I was like saying like all this stuff I did with gambling. He's like, Jesus Christ, like how the fuck are you, like, why are you fucking doing all that shit? Blah 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 blah. And it was like, oh no, it just became like an obsession of mine. But the obsession was not about winning money. I mean, that was the motivating purpose. But really it was about like, can I beat this puzzle? It was like solving a puzzle to me. It was like, how can I figure out the perfect algorithm to beat this edge or whatever it was? And he talked to me about like, you know, continuous shufflers, all these things. Because like what I was impressed by was the second I hit up Will about it, he came back with all these like legitimate things. Like he already thought about it, which was cool to talk to somebody who was already aware of like, dude, this, that, boom. I was like, oh shit. And so then we're back and forth explaining, you know, and that's how you know that he's a guy that would be good to have on the fucking squat, you know, because he already gets it. And so I explained, I was like, no, dude, the thing you do is you have a spotter at a table, you count the count, whatever, you bet the minimum, and then, you know, he was talking about bet fluctuations and stuff like that. That's how you get caught, which again was just impressive to me that this is probably already something he thought about. And then you turn me on to this live casino thing. And what I realized is that, and I'll just make this quick because it's probably boring for anybody listening, but they have an 8-deck shoe. And the way you base the true count, which is, you know, all the low cards 2 through 6 are +1, middle cards 7, 8, 9 are 0, and high cards 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace are +1 or -1. And what you're trying to do is get to a count that is plus whatever a running count, but it's the true count is based off of whatever the running count is divided by the amount of decks left. So, for instance, if you have 4 decks left, you need a running count of +4 just to be at a true count 1, because running count 4 divided by 4 is 1. You don't have an edge until true count 2. True count 0, which is what every deck starts off of, you're at a negative 0.5% disadvantage, which is actually really low compared to any other game you can play besides Baccarat.
Yeah.
But like, look at Vegas, for instance. You're at a negative point. You're at a 2.5% disadvantage in gambling, sports gambling. Blackjack, you're losing 0.5%. So for every $100 you bet on blackjack, and you're just playing regular basic strategy, like you're playing it well, but with no card counting, no edge, you should expect to lose literally like 50 cents per $100, which is not a bad edge. If you're card counting, you don't actually have a positive EV until you're at true count 2, which in the case of with an 8-deck shoe.
How much EV is that, by the way? If you're playing perfect blackjack strategy with a 0.2 count or whatever. At +2 count.
At true count 0, which is just a neutral shoe, and playing perfect blackjack, you're at a negative 0.5%. At true count 1, you're break even. And so at true count 2, the general rule of thumb is for every 1 true count, you are plus 0.5% advantage. So it's not until 2 on the true count that you are actually positive EV. And so in terms of the online casino, that's again all based off of the amount of deck left. So if you have an 8-deck shoe and they're stopping the fucking shuffle halfway through at 4 decks, the only way to have a true count of 2 with 4 decks left is you have to have you have to have a running count of 8, which is really fucking unlikely. And so you work out the math and you realize that, like, oh, that, because you gotta, like, the thing, like, you gotta, here's how I know that I'm not a fucking addict and I'm actually, like people that actually think about it, it's like, okay, these casinos aren't retarded. Yeah. Like, you know you're wrong when you assume that the other person is stupid.
Yeah.
Because if you think the other person is stupid, and this is a great segue into the next topic we're going to get into. I'll tie up the gambling thing with this. If you think that the other person is just stupid, you're wrong. That goes for everything in life. A lot of times people are stupid. But when you take things to the highest level, and now I'm realizing this might counteract my next topic, but because we think the same way. But in terms of gambling,
you calling me stupid?
No. The casinos,
Damn, boy.
the casinos shuffle at halfway through that 8-deck shoe with 4 decks left because the likelihood that the true count,
too much variance.
The true count being +2, because
what I would usually, the question I was going to ask, and it's an obvious question if you're not retarded, obvious answer if you're not retarded, I mean, was, okay, if they're going to cut the deck halfway through, why wouldn't you just play it as if it's 4 decks? But because there's a huge probability that theoretically, every ace, 10, jack, queen could be at the back,
in the back of it, yes.
But my next question is, also, there's the same probability that they could all be in the front. So is it just like too wide of a variable to be able to actually gauge that based off of card counting, or is it just like, I mean, obviously there's much smarter people than us that have figured out that that's a foolproof method into making sure.
Well, you can't. And
apparently, card counting is still technically possible. Obviously,
well, it is, but
it's just. It's to a point where it's like getting limited, you know? It's like, it's not worth it to sit at a fucking table and make $10 an hour.
There's no mathematical principle that would suggest what you're talking about is clumping. Clumping being that all of the high cards are located in a specific part of the deck. If you have a 4-deck shoe, for instance, like so what people would have a hard time comprehending is, what's the difference between an 8-deck shoe where you cut halfway through or just having a 4-deck shoe? And the difference is, well, if you have a 4-deck shoe, meaning all the cards in that shoe only have within 4 decks to be placed. That is way different than all the decks in that shoe have 8 decks to be placed. There's no way of knowing if, there's no way of knowing if the cards that you're looking for are placed up front or in the back or in the middle or interspersed. There's no way. The only way this works is based off of, like, here's the amount of cards left, and here's the probability of each one of those cards appearing. So the arrangement of that is unpredictable based off of regular card counting. In fact, it's random. Oh, here we go. Dom is now at 2 pisses. Live betters. We are at 44 minutes and 15 seconds. Dom is at 2 pisses. And I think we're looking good on the beers, actually. Let's see. Oh, God. I'm going to finish this one here. To tie up this subject, folks, because I know this is probably the most boring of all subjects, but the point is that this will lead into our next subject. If you assume that people are stupid, there are a lot of stupid people. There are. In fact, if your definition of stupid is below average intelligence, which I don't know is the fairest assessment, but one of my favorite rules of math is that half of people in the world are below average, give or take. There's obviously a certain percentage of people that are exactly average, but let's put it this way, less than half of people are above average, which means...
What the fuck is going on outside? Is it 9/11? Jesus.
It's 10:30, baby. Most people...
No, it's not. It's not even 10:30. Right now.
It's October 30th.
Oh, I thought you were saying it was 10:30 o'clock.
Dom, go take a piss. All right.
I do gotta take a shit at some point.
Oh my god! Who had a 0.5
Over 0.5
shit?
shits was plus 3,000 to start the fucking.
That is a crazy fucking thunderbolt bet.
Dude, if
there.
you same game parlay under 4.5 pisses and over 0.5 shits, you will be slapping hands with Elon
That
Musk
is
right
an
now.
amazing fucking bet, fucking switch up right there for you folks. The point is,
If only there was a fucking toilet. All right, I just poured beer 6.
Good. As we dive
you
into the
going?
next subject, I don't fucking know, dude. We'll
We
figure it
got
out when we're done.
14 minutes.
Here's
to
what I
drink
know:
3
we're gonna
beers.
fucking finish them.
We'll see.
Most people are average or below. So when you talk to the average person, you're talking to an average or lower on the intelligence scale person. But when you talk about systems at their highest level, to assume that that system is stupid is misguided. Because, and this is how I'm going to tie this in terms of the casino
we'll
thing.
see.
We're going to try. But in terms of the casino thing, they're not just going to put a live dealer online for people to card count and just not have already thought of that.
Yeah.
So it's never, there's no easy way out. There's no easy way out. There's no shortcut home. You know what I'm talking about.
Random hot take. Don't Stop Believing is not a good song. It's a good song.
It's a great song.
I just don't like
It's
it.
a great song. It's overplayed.
don't
And
like it.
I'll get into that with you on our next topic because I got to fucking...
Which is songs that suck.
Songs suck. But first, here's what I have to say to all of you. The average... how should I put this?
We got 13 minutes. You better fucking figure it out.
The average Democrat and Republican voter.
Black.
No. Here's what's bugging me. I talk to people that are Kamala supporters, and I think,
I don't.
dude, how could you possibly be in support of this?
All right, here's the thing. All my friends that were super liberal before, that we've gotten into arguments, I mean, there's obviously no secret that you and I are both, leaning
Nazi,
Trump.
fascist,
Yeah,
white
racist,
supremacist,
sexist,
racist, sexist,
homophobe,
xenophobic.
xenophobic, yeah.
Bigots, just in general.
Just terrible people. All of my friends that are Democrats are not voting. So it's a thing where it's like either what I've noticed from everyone that I know, aside from a few whatever, it's you're voting for Trump or you're not voting. That's what I've noticed. So
Okay.
if they try to steal that shit, I'll be there. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there at the Capitol. You can pull this up in court. You hear me? This
Hear me, FBI.
This is an admission of guilt. I'm gonna run the government if you try to fucking steal this.
I'm gonna
from
show
me.
up to the Capitol unarmed.
I'm gonna be armed.
And
I'm gonna show up.
I'm gonna walk up in the Capitol so hard. I'm gonna piss in so many urinals and
Yeah.
shit in one that the government is gonna be turned over to whoever I voted for because that's how an insurrection works,
I'm
right?
gonna go to Nancy Pelosi's desk. I'm gonna say, "Big Dom was here, biatch."
And that is, as we know, as we've learned from media, is how you take over a government. That is, of course, how you do it. You show up, you get shot, you walk around and trespass, and then eventually you trespass so hard
Right.
that you just are the president now.
And then after you've crowded around the Capitol building for all of at least 6 hours, you then are able to take control of the economy, foreign policy,
Yes.
municipal
Yes.
government. Everything you could possibly want to control is within your grasp.
This is all thought out, folks. This
Yeah.
is how it is done. And it's actually a wonder that little, insurrection, as you call it, didn't work out. It's amazing that didn't work out.
How dare you try to say that the insurrection wasn't the worst day of it.
I know. I look, we here at
9/11,
LFTS
take a seat.
take a seat.
January 6th
6th.
has something to say about this.
Yes, exactly. So what really discussing is, in my opinion, the average Democrat voter is not necessarily at all enthused about Kamala. Is
Just
not
kidding. Actually, they're gay.
They're gay. Well, gay is closer. Who do you think is more Democrat leaning, gays or blacks? This is the toughest question I've ever asked on the studio ever at all.
Trying to think if I've met more blacks for Trump or more gays for Trump.
I'm gonna go gays might be less Democrat leaning than blacks. And you know why? Because blacks entails women. Gays do not entail women.
Well, lesbians. Or are you just talking about gay men?
I'm talking about gay men.
The
Gay
real
men.
gays.
Look, gay men, but keyword men. Men.
All right. We have 9 minutes. We have how many beers do you have left? I'm gonna start trying to like trick my mind and not do it by number of beers. I'm just gonna start pouring them into my cup and just drinking it until it's empty.
Exactly.
My mind's right now trying to gauge like, oh, how am I gonna drink 2.5 beers in 9 minutes? I'm like, you're not. You're drinking one beer that's really big in 9 minutes, idiot.
In 9 minutes is easy. Dude, I think that like it's so far gone at this point. To me, and I'll put this out on the air, the radio waves, just so we're clear. If Kamala wins this election, mark my fucking words.
I'm storming the Capitol. I am going in there, and you better not fucking be there, Nancy. If I see you, Nancy. Oh, boy.
Nancy.
I'm just kidding. Satire apparently is pretty admissible in court, and this is funny.
This is funny. They have to gauge you on a scale of 1 to 10 how funny it was. And
Yeah, like, officer, he did drink 7 beers.
Officer.
Your Honor. Officer, Your Honor. Officer, Judge. He did drink 6 beers,
It's
Officer,
the only
Judge.
time in life where blowing into a breathalyzer could actually remit you from a crime. You're like, well, actually.
All right, we have 8 minutes. Let's talk about guns. 7 minutes. Let's talk about guns.
What gun are you bringing to the Capitol? Because I think I'm going to show up with a Smith & Wesson, whatever the hell Dad got me, in my holster.
This is what I'm bringing. This is what I'm bringing. Everybody pay attention. Look at the camera get on me. I'm bringing Glock 19.
Woo!
And I'm bringing AR-15.
Wow, you're wearing both. Good strap. You're bringing the AR as your primary weapon, and then when you get shot,
Listen,
like Call of Duty style, you're on the ground. You're like,
I'm not. Oh my god, we have fucking 7 minutes.
okay, let's drink some beers and talk.
I can't.
I gotta be honest, the Capitol is becoming more and more of a thing for me.
Oh god, I don't know if I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna do it, dude.
I gotta try.
You're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna be fine. This is always how it goes. You always think you're on pace until you're fucking not.
I was on pace. I was on.
Check your beer. Check your empties. Check your empties. Okay, cool. This one needs doing. Okay.
I just noticed in the last hour. I'm like, I'm sober as a fucking judge, and I'm storming the Capitol.
You hear me? I just put a .00.
This is prop beer. This is Factual Light.
I blew a negative .05. I am more sober than I've ever been, and I will be storming the Capitol if Trump loses. You hear me, Judge? I can't
Trump
wait till that
loses.
place.
He didn't lose. It was stolen from us. Just like it was back in 2020. But I'll tell you what, the difference is that now God's on our side.
And we're stealing it back.
And we're stealing it back. I've filed 700,000 fake mail-in ballots. I have printed them. I have written them. I have turned them in. I haven't worked the past 6 months. I've driven all across the country.
The ideal Democrat voter. Haven't worked?
Hey, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Let's go, Trump.
We're going to shake and bake this election, baby. We are shaking and baking November fucking 5th or whatever it is, dude.
Oh, it is the 5th. And I'm voting the day of, and I'm not voting for Trump. I'm voting for God. I'm writing in God. I'm writing in God. Please help us. Jesus Christ and Muhammad Ali. Please save this country.
Muhammad Ali. We're going to show you.
I'm going to show you how gay I am.
You got to love a good power hour, folks. We're nearing in with less than 4 minutes to go. Can we do it? I say, Bob the Builder style, yes, we can. It means the next 4 minutes of this podcast are not going to
Forgot about that show.
Yeah. That was a little past my time.
Bob the Builder, can we build it? Bob the Builder, yes, we can. I think Mom bought me like a Bob the Builder toy set or some shit. And I was like, well, this is fucking gay, you fucking Democrat.
It was instilling good values in children.
Right. This is it right here. Last beer.
That's you?
In this cup. Last beer. What do we have? 3 minutes. I got this. I need to get some burps in now.
Guys, Halloween Power Hour is always a fucking challenge.
It's never easy. Listen.
You always think it's
this shit is
easy.
not fucking easy. You think, oh, one shot of beer, and
it's not for the faint of heart either.
it's not. It is, I'll tell you what, though.
I'll tell you what,
if you took over 3.5, I'll tell you what, I would have taken over 4.5 pisses.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
If you were to tell me that I was not going to surpass 1.5 pisses throughout this hour, I mean, that was probably plus 3,000. Under 1.5 pisses.
That's a good bet. That's a good live bet. I'll tell you what, the live odds of me doing this are currently at plus 500. I'll put you that way.
We got 2 minutes.
But you know your boy never fails you on Halloween. My favorite holiday.
It's the season of the witch.
It is the season of the witch, not the season of the bitch. We're fucking drinking this down. Let's go.
Scrumptious.
I love that fucking line. I forgot where that's from. Wheezy? Instead of Wheezy?
Eating rappers. Scrumptious.
Oh my God. We got 1.5 minutes left. I got 1.5 beers left. I need to drink whatever that math is.
Wow.
1.5 beers per second.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
You know, I was just thinking about while I was doing this. It's almost too easy. It's almost too easy.
I might puke.
For the record, we've already surpassed the shot per minute. We're going for the 8. We always go for 8 here.
This is better than a power hour.
Better than a power hour.
Oh no. I don't know.
For audio listeners, I apologize. But this is just audio sequence of me chugging.
I have half a beer left, and I might puke.
Dom, you gotta get in. You can't let me down on Halloween. We got fucking 20 seconds.
I will drink this beer.
20 seconds left.
I'll
20
drink this
seconds.
beer and then puke.
20 seconds.
I'm gonna drink this beer and then puke. Everybody. Fuck you.
Oh my God. And we're in. We are in, folks. Dom Solesky has finished the beer. He has puked. He has pissed 2 times. Whoever had the under over Dom 1.5 pisses, you have won the over. Otherwise, the original odds were much lower than that. Whoever had Jim Solesky under over 0.5 pisses, you of course won. That was like minus 400 for me. I don't fucking piss when the clock is on. But the main point is that we're fucking good. Oh my god. Okay, give me that. Okay,
What?
one fucking sip. Nothing. These are 8 beers, 4 and 4. Turn them upside down, whatever. Little foam, whatever. 8 beers. Dom, take your beers, hold them upside down. Show the camera.
Let me show
the camera.
tell the camera something.
Dom did puke. Who had Dom over under 0.5 pukes?
Yeah, what was that line at? That was not a alcohol. That was pure volume.
It's volume.
That was like, I just puked up 3 of them. I don't think that counts because I did.
Hold them upside down. Hold them upside down for the camera.
It was
Boom.
buzzer beater. All right, there was a drop there.
All right, I know. I'm giving
sue
it.
me.
They're gonna fucking. The people scrutinizing us. They're gonna be fucking saying whatever.
All right, keep the camera on me. That's 3 of them. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, here's the thing. Here's one thing I do want to clear up.
Okay.
People are gonna think that with that last beer, there was a half a beer in that cup when I walked out there, and I said, before I left here, did I not say? I said I'm gonna drink this, and then I'm gonna puke. Because if I didn't drink that, I wouldn't have puked. It was the sheer volume of the beer in my stomach that made me puke. So I had all of those 8 beers in my body when that clock struck 60 minutes, and I fucking immediately threw up. I did, and I threw up about 3 beers. But that doesn't matter. That's not what a power hour is about. The power hour is about drinking 8 beers in an hour. I did that. Who's counting? Me. Who's counting the beers after that? Nobody. I puked them. I win. I did it. Jim, did you do it?
Yeah, I did it.
You drank a beer and a half in 3 minutes at the end?
Yeah.
All right. I did.
What you
That
guys
was
are now
pretty good.
realizing is that I am capable of drinking more beer than my brother, because I'm more of a man than you, Rick.
I'm a better man than you, Rick. What's crazy is I immediately feel way more sober.
Yeah. Because he got rid of like 12 beers by drinking
No,
8.
I think each puke could have filled up a 12-ounce glass. So I think
Hey, we did it. It's another Halloween, folks, here at the studio. Halloween, trick or treat. You already know how it is. Gotta love a power hour. You gotta love it. You gotta love tradition. That's the main point of this podcast. Tradition. You may hate what we said. You may love what we said. You may hate that juniors are fighting seniors for egg fights. You might hate that somebody TP'd your house. But at fucking least, we're doing something. Until next time, peace.
peace.